Welcome back, guys. Season 2, Episode 2, and we are live for the second time in 2026, guys. How are we doing?
Looking at Avery being frozen again to start the show is the way we do things around here. But
Yeah, we got to get this figured out before the
no,
season.
we're good, man. We're excited to be here. It's been a busy weekend slash last couple of days. Like I said before we're getting on the show, I think I just put out my 126th tweet so far in the last like 2 days, which is feels outrageous, and we still got a few more to go. So
I
yeah,
think I did the math. I mean, not the math, but thinking about it, we did 24 hours of baseball in 48 hours.
that's what I'm
Um,
saying. Yeah,
so
I was
it was awesome. I know we talked about it after the event, but thank you guys for such a great weekend. It's been awesome to be in IVSA, just with the potential weather. Obviously, it wasn't freezing out. Sunday, I guess, was cooler, but Saturday was a complete wash, and we wouldn't have gotten a single thing in if we were outside. So, year three at IVSA, we can't thank those guys enough for allowing us to get in that facility. We know all you guys like being there, and we plan on being there for years to come. So it's like we say, it's favorite event, one of the favorite events of the year, and it
Yeah.
kicks off the season
Favorite
in a
early
big
season,
way.
I guess, event of the year. But yeah, I couldn't believe the weather that, like, I guess we didn't know about on Saturday. And it was like just torrential downpours all through the state. And we were just like hidden from the world. Felt like almost like when you're in a casino and you don't know what time it was. But yeah, we were just in the building, like, left your house in the dark. You left the building when it was dark and didn't even realize it was so bad out there. But yeah, again, you said thank everybody, but yeah, the energy in the room all day long was pretty phenomenal on both days. Like that was the best part. Like we were getting, I mean, new groups were coming in each, I mean, every couple hours, and everybody kind of kept that same tempo all day long, which was awesome to see. Really kept the day flowing well. Like it was a long day, but I don't think we hung up at all either day. Like things kind of flowed throughout. Like it was as smooth as we could have ran for having as many kids as we did that week. I mean, this weekend, like and I think you guys noticed it as well. Obviously, nobody was there for more than just a couple hours, so you really can't beat that. To get in there, get your numbers, hang out with some of your guys, see some of the best players in the state, and get out of there. But yeah, I mean, I could talk about this for as long as we won. That's why we're on here tonight to chat about it, man. It was a great weekend.
Yeah, the groups are fun. It breaks everything up. It kind of puts you in a 2 hour window with a certain amount of guys and keeps everything fresh. BP's flows smooth. You get to keep that same positional group in there, and it's good for us too to evaluate. We get to see guys stack up right next to each other at the same position, so that's always a unique feature. Comparing top prospect games where we have the same amount of kids, but we have three fields going, so we don't get to see fully their entire workout, and that's what's so fun about the indoor stuff is everything's pretty much right there on top of you. Avery pretty much manned the upstairs for pitching and was texting us his guys went, and it was great setup. Always enjoy it. But yeah, let's talk about a little preseason All State. Let's start with some underclass guys, and we'll just start kind of going through some groups and touching on a few guys. I think with Group One, and we lost Avery. So
Yeah,
well,
we're on a
Avery might
hot
be
start. Hot
Avery
start,
might be
favorite.
kicked off until we get his situation figured out, guys. But you got to start with Carter Radix for Group One.
I mean, yeah,
Pretty much set the tone for the entire day. I mean, had one of the best rounds of the entire weekend, in my opinion. Just one of. Obviously, we had 20, 30, 40. Like, everybody had good rounds. But what I'm trying to say is, like, freshmen set the tone for the entire weekend, just
yeah.
about.
I mean, it was instantaneous. I mean, we've talked about Carter for a lot over the last few months. He kind of like really stood out towards the end of the summer, and then had a really good fall. I mean, on the mound especially, we've seen him hit a ton, but the stuff on the mound was awesome. But we didn't see him for a few months. He shows up to preseason All State and like makes these immense strides on at the plate that we haven't seen. Obviously, EV's up to 102. I think his average was 93 plus. Just really seems like he's putting the work in on his off time. Obviously, I saw a ton of people talking about it on Twitter afterwards. Obviously, he's putting the work in. I saw his schedule get posted online. He's hitting like every day of the week. He wants to be great. He has a chance to go in as a freshman and earn a really big role for Wesleyan this year. Obviously, there's some spots on that squad with openings, and I think he notices that, wants to put the work in. He came out and worked out with the outfielders, threw his pen, I believe, left, came back, worked out with the catchers again later in the afternoon, looked good there as well. Just really wants to put the work in, and it shows in that showing right there. And I was kind of blown away. Obviously, we've fallen in love with it, but it's even better to see when you see those strides made and it's right in front of your face.
And we just met. Well, I guess we could probably talk about it a little bit too, maybe in between preseason all state. But we talked to the Wesleyan guys at the Gwinnett County Media Day that we went to, and they don't have a catcher. They're trying to convert a catcher currently, and Carter, like I was talking to him up top when he was waiting to pitch, and he was like, "Yeah, I figured I might as well give it a go. We don't have a catcher. They're trying to make someone a catcher that's really not, and he's athletic enough to, he's going to be one of those guys, the next Branson Crawford types, that's going to play every position on the field.
Yeah.
Because you love it on, we love it on the mound too. It's pretty electric there, so it's one of those deals to where you have no clue what he's going to do, and he's got 4 years to figure it out, but he wants to get on that field early for Wesleyan.
I mean, and shout out to Grayson as well, his twin brother, who also had a really impressive performance to start the day in that same group. Was 90 plus on the cross, and excuse me, his average EV, I believe, was 90 plus in his round. Found the barrel consistently, was 92 from the outfield for one of the top numbers on the day. Really set the tone. And both of those guys are just kind of vying for a spot, and looks like they have a chance to really play early and continue to perform and make themselves known. Obviously, guys that can be future game groups types down the road that we really kind of fall in love with at an early age that you want to see.
Yeah, just sticking with Wesleyan, go ahead and touch on Hudson Purcell a little bit. It was really good. I think I think I missed his BP round, but up top he was phenomenal. Like the bullpen was really good, and he's performed over the last 2 or 3 years, 13U and 14U with the Jackets, and obviously coming to JFGs as well. But I mean, it was up to 87, maybe 88 on the mound, and he's one of those guys that throws a ton. So you always worry about taking that next jump as a young freshman. But it's obviously been there. He's put in the work to maintain, and he's going to be a guy to know, especially on the mound in that class. And the bat speed's unreal too. Like we've seen that, and the numbers are pretty off the chart as well. So we talk about it, but those freshman trio kind of at Wesleyan, and we didn't get to see Bradford Smith. He was another one in that group that wasn't able to make it, but Wesleyan's got a lot of young bucks on the way up that Coach should be excited about for sure.
He's sticking in with that group, man. AJ Jackson was another guy who kind of just stood out early in that first group. South Georgia, Southeast Bullet guy, kind of just came in there and set the tone as well. Compact swing with some leverage to it. Kind of carried balls to both gaps. It was kind of just jumping off the barrel. We haven't seen it a ton in game before, so getting him in this setting was good to see. And he just kind of went in there and set the tone, like I just mentioned, and it was loud, man. I mean, makes me want to go out there and see Southeast Bullock this year. I mean, that's going to be a journey down to go there go see it. But like, you find guys like that, freshmen that can come in and really make a spot on varsity. We just talked about that with the Radix and Hudson Purcell. But I think this whole group, I mean, it was a ton. Like, out of that whole first outfielder group, I think 80% of those kids has a chance to make varsity or make an impact in year one. Like, it was just that kind of group to see, and it just goes without saying how good these kids are getting at a young age. You say 13U, 14U, but when they start making those jumps at 15 and become actually hitting those puberty years and starting to bulk up, add that weight. Like, we had so many kids this week that added like 10 to 15 to 20 pounds of good muscle. Like noticeable good muscle on their frame, which is just awesome to see. Like, that's probably my favorite thing about this event is like the actual athleticism and where they've kind of developed in their frame wise over the last like 6 months, because it can be huge for some of these guys.
Yeah, I had my brother-in-law there doing height, weight, grip, and headshot up there, and he was like, "Man, some of these guys are making giant jumps with their height and weight." And I was like, "Well, some of them we haven't seen in a while. Some of them are brand new to us." And speaking of that, like, first guy, he's third on the list here on the sheet, but Jax Choi was a guy that kind of opened some eyes, a guy that we haven't seen, Mill Creek. So, they've had obviously some big time prospects in the past, but I think he may be the next one on the way up, two-way up on the mound as well, low to mid 80s arm. So he's one that was good to see, guy we hadn't seen, just running through these couple. Yeah, another one we hadn't really seen much of was it Jack Crook from Carrollton, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, Jack Crook from Carrollton, lefty. He threw his pin up top whenever I was up there, and that's where it kind of stood out for me. 6'1" frame, 155 pounds. Ball came out really well. One of those kids that you never know, might get a chance to get in there early, throw some strikes. 78 to 82 lefty seems like get some of the most outs in high school baseball. Just the amount of games we go to. So,
You're not wrong there.
but the talent there was really fun. We got to see guys we've seen a lot of, like Frank Knowles and R.J. Westbrook. Caleb Sullivan was a good one we got to see. We saw him this time last year at the East Georgia Preseason All ID, one of the fastest 30s of the entire weekend. I think he was in the 3.6s, track guy. So he's going to be a guy at Buford to keep an eye on. And then last one, really, probably Dyson Sparks. That was our first look there. Big physical bat for none other than Etowah. So another bat in the pipeline for Coach Robinson.
Yeah, I mean Sparks was big at physical frame. I had strength throughout. I was barreling balls at both gaps as well. Just to continue on that outfielder group, it's going to be remiss to not talk about Kalen Frederick, who we like. We're one of the guys we were kind of most excited to see in this weekend. We hadn't seen it a ton. We saw it a little bit in the fall. It was kind of sporadic. We didn't see it as often as we wanted to. So we knew the strides were coming. We talked about a lot last year, like internally as like just one of those kids that could figure it out and then could be like best player in the class type of upside. And like
Yeah.
we saw stride, we saw some glimpses of that this weekend. He added about 10 or 15 pounds, looked barrel chested, broad shoulders, 6'3", 200 pounds, I believe. Let me pull up the tweet here with the height and weight here. But just probably the loudest BP round we had maybe all weekend. And for me, granted, we had a few guys that put up some insane numbers, but 104.7 just creates leverage from a really steep path, finds the barrel pretty often, would drove the ball deep to both corners. I think he had a couple balls over 380 feet max distance as well. Has a really immense ability to rotate. The rotational acceleration was up over 28, which is pretty high for that. We saw some numbers over 30 this weekend, which is insane. But anywhere from that 26 to 32 range is going to be plus numbers in that particularly in that data set there. But it was just impressive from him. 88 from the outfield as well. Just going to be a guy for Milton that just might show up this spring and be that guy. Hit 15 home runs as a sophomore and be like, oh wow, everybody's talking about Kalen Frederick, and
Yeah,
he's
easily.
that type of player.
Yeah, it's in there for sure. First guy for me was actually pretty much not a new name, but seeing him was really our first time. I went to Maynard Jackson to try to see Chance Thomas against Mays and showed up, and he had a broken hand from playing 7-on-7 football. He's actually on Cam Newton 7-on-7 team, so big time football DB as well. But little brother of Colin Thomas, and it was the first look at him, and it's athletic is kind of the word you go with there. But the BP was really strong. Sometimes with those football kids, you worry about, the durability and, playing multiple sports like that. But obviously no problem for Chance. And he's going to be one that he's not at Mays anymore. He went with his dad, I guess he said, where he's coaching football at. So we'll have to get out to see Hapeville, I think is what he said. But yeah, anyways, we'll have to get out to see him for sure. And it's always fun just seeing those guys that we've never really got a chance to see that much. Because he's playing 7-on-7 summer football with Cam Newton. So
Yeah,
it's
goes to say with the type of talent the state has, man. We talk about it often. I talk about the guys with the football talent here. It's unreal.
yeah, and like you said, set the tone for the day, both those outfield groups. But I was gonna jump to the underclass PO group just real quick since they came in first. Before we start rolling through everybody. And to start things off, I know I hate Avery had to leave, but Carter Jesk, Avery was high praise of him. Who did he comp him to?
Michael Fredette.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. And it's one of those that we got to see at Southeast, super sophomore games. Low 80s guy, filled up the zone. I think he showed up mid 80s with 3 pitches for strikes. Good actions on all of his pitches. So he's going to be one at Kennesaw Mountain that we got to chase down early for those guys for sure. I lost my PO sheet as well, but Cal Williamson and James Callaway, that was kind of expected. Cal Williamson's been one of the more mature, steady arms in this 28 class. It was every single time he came out, it was pretty much lights out at MPI. what was that, top prospect game? No, super sophomore games. It was kind of a nasty morning, maybe. It was like kind of sort of raining, not yet. It cleared up, but he was like, "Well, we'll see how this goes." And then, sure enough, he goes out there and shoves for 2 innings. So he's going to be a workhorse for Coach Plon at North Atlanta this year, I think for sure.
What did we have in that first PO group? It was a smaller group to start the day there.
Yeah, James Calloway was up to 89, which we kind of been seeing that. So that's probably Coach Core's one of the biggest pieces of that group. I think is going to be him and Easton Holmes on the mound, and if he can do that and throw like we saw him throw over the summer, they're going to be a-okay over there at Denmark. Derek Ohl, a guy that you got to see over the spring, he came out upper 80s, which we had been seeing some stuff on him as well. So it was good to see him and all these guys getting tuned up for a big year. But like you said, that was a smaller group. Leighton Bradley was there as well. Walton, he could be a guy that could jump in for them and throw some innings. Colton Whitman for Noonan, that could be another arm that steps up for those guys to try to repeat. But outside of that,
Need some arms to step up for that team for sure. So it's good to see Rice and Davis had a good pen as well this weekend. Obviously, Hunter Holstrom, there's some concern there. He won't be able to play this spring, which would be a tough loss for that team. But really, there's some guys stepping up as well, like you just mentioned. So we saw him, I believe, had another arm down in Macon last week as well. So there's some pieces. Gordon Sampson as well, who I just wrote about in their profile. It's going to be a big piece behind Hayes McGinnis in the rotation as well. So, yeah. Getting off topic a little bit there, but yeah.
yeah, moving on, we'll jump into the third infield group, which was our 2028 infielders, and we were talking about it. I guess before we jump into that,
Yeah, I think we got like a couple
Break
guys.
Hemphill.
Yeah, that 28 outfield group had a few guys that really. But yeah, speaking of Brick, I guess "wow" would be the first term to use there. It was as loud as it gets for a day for a 2028. I had Colin Anderson show up last year and kind of blow me away in my first look. I saw Colin. I mean, I saw Breck a few times in the fall, not a ton with Team Elite. He made a few stops in Lake Point there, but this was the first time seeing him in kind of like an intimate setting in a showcase like this, and it just jumped off the barrel, man. Just tons of bat speed, creates torque from the left side, just finds the barrel, creates carry. It was so easy off the bat. I think it was up to 108 or 105.6, I think was the max in the day. 95 from the outfield from the left side as well. Just a live arm, big physical, 6'2", 215 pounds. Still kind of hasn't figured it out physically either. So that body's going to get extremely physical as he develops over the next couple of years, and it's going to be a monster. Kind of a sneaky athlete, 3.65, or I believe in the 30 as
8'5".
well.
Yep,
3.85,
8'5". Yep.
In the 30, which is an impressive run for that move. Gets out
Top half.
well.
I mean, yeah, definitely
He's
top
just
half of the
just
group.
going to move. Has a chance to play across the outfield. Obviously, they got some freak athletes there playing in center, like Marcus Labouchier, we'll talk about later on this week. But it was impressive to see Brick, man. Like, it's just going to be a guy who can also hop on the mound and could be 88, 90 if he really wants to as well, and could be a piece out of the pen for that Harrison team. We're going to talk about this team a lot, and I think getting that addition, obviously just moving down here from Pennsylvania a few months ago is huge, but the tools and the upside for this is just immense. And I think there's, like, again, we talk about our best player in the class. He's already ranked number 4 in the class, and we have the big 3 in front of him there. But this group, I wrote it in, I think, a tweet this week. I've talked about it on the show, but this 28 class is just probably
Fun.
as special as it gets, man. It's
Yeah.
deep. There's talent throughout. There's guys that really showed up this week and kind of like made themselves known that we're going to talk about a little bit later. That just like it's kind of like can't miss over the next few years. I'm talking to pro scouts about guys like that are going to go watch guys this spring. Where I'm like, hey, you might just like want to check in and watch this 28 because like it's going to be somebody you're going to need to know like sooner than later. So
Yeah, and we touched on it just a second there, but I want to talk about the 30-yard dash a little bit more. It's kind of overlooked, I think, in my opinion. It might be looked at more than what I think it is in the industry, and even the 10-yard split as well. But I sometimes, like, I'm looking at the chart here just on the event page from Saturday, but it's almost more fun to see these times because it really separates a few, but it also groups guys up, and it really puts into perspective like how many athletic guys there are in this class. Obviously, that next 30 yards can typically separate some guys. But just looking like Gebhardt, for instance, runs the fastest of the entire event at 3.62, which we'll get into him. And looking at his RSI as well, like a
One
3.24.
155 split as well, which is event best as well. Or I believe for underclass, 153 for Brennan Neal at upperclass, which is unreal again. But like that's the type of numbers where I'm talking about. I was talking about it with the coaches at Mercer last week. Like, there's not many times where you need to see a player run straight line 60 yards on a baseball field. Like it's just not. It's not. I mean, it's necessary for this testing. It's going to be necessary for as long as we test it. But there's not many times that it's functionally used on the baseball diamond. A 30-yard is going to be used. A 10-yard split is going to be used often. So like getting those numbers, being able to have that burst out of the box, that first step, that explosiveness is going to be something that we test and look at a lot more, like you just mentioned. I mean, I focus on it now. Like, we had guys running 3.60s this week, which is unreal. Like, just shows to be able to get out of the box, get to that top end speed quickly, and like that's going to play on the base. It's going to play in the infield. It's going to play in the outfield. So it's just huge.
Yeah, it's fun to look at for sure. But yeah, I kind of got ahead of ourselves definitely with this outfield group.
It's hard to stay focused with this week. It's been a long 4 days now. Yeah, it's just so much to consume at one time.
Brooks DeRosa, I know we've obviously seen him plenty of times, but he's gotten physical. I think that he's going to be massive for North Gwinnett this spring. We talked to those guys at the Gwinnett County Media Day, and what they said that Coach Moity said they lost 16, 17 seniors.
17 seniors, yeah.
So they got to have some guys step up. We had a handful of North Gwinnett guys there at the event, and
Jungmoo Jang looked really good as well.
I think Coach Moity is going to be okay with what he has coming through for sure.
Obviously,
Banks Halcomb was there as well.
Yeah, the upper class guys we'll talk about more. Graydon Sellers, who we just saw at the media day last week, had a really good day. Again, like, it's hard to not get ahead of ourselves. We're talking about guys this week. Should have made more of a play in here. It's on us. But yeah.
Ledger Jones was a good one for me to see. We got to see it this fall and on the Aviators, and really liked the swing from the left side. So it was good to see him. Guy for Walton that's going to be probably big for them down the road. Andrew Akapov was 96 from the outfield.
Yeah, like
so, and he's about as tooled up as they come as well. Crazy physical.
Back now, like the lower half has just gotten so physical now. Like, he's got the biggest legs in the class, bar none. I mean, it's weird to talk about that, but it just looks different when he gets out there. It's just
Mount Parent's gonna be fun. Mount Parent, I can't. They obviously have some upperclassmen in the mix, but just thinking about this underclass group with him and RJ, Rylan Long, Riley Shumpert, like it's gonna be fun to see. That could be a fun underclass group to get out to see early. Yeah, that's gonna be a fun group for sure. Anybody else in this outfield group for you? Brooks, Andrew Cochran was good. JD Hogan, Bryce Miley was a new guy for River Ridge that we hadn't got to see a ton of. Josiah Davis looked good. Yeah, outside of that,
it was a good group, man.
Yeah, and it was fun to start with the outfielders, little smaller groups. It was fun to see for sure. But yeah, we can jump into the infield group and just first name on the list here numerically. But Cole Roberts had himself around. We got to see him a little bit over the spring for Walnut Grove, but the dude just hits line drives. Like, the barrel's just through the zone. He's on it. Like, the pitching machine is always a little bit of a question mark for guys, even though they hit on it a lot these days, and they're going to hit on it even more when they get to college, which pretty much for the most part everybody's pretty good on it now. But the dude can hit a pitching machine, and he stays through the middle of the field right back at the L screen, and it's a nice, simple, gets his 10 to 12, 15 swings, and he's out of there. But he's going to continue to get more physical, and I think that's really going to be when his game starts to transform, even on the mound as well. Low to mid 80s strike thrower that's got some spin, and I think him and Coletta will be a big kind of 1-2 sophomore punch for Walnut Grove this spring.
Yeah, I mean, that group just started high with him as well. I mean, I mentioned Jang. I mean, not Jang. He was an outfielder as well. But Brody Lewis was good. Max Mayer, who I think mentioned didn't even feel well that day. It looked really good at the mound. Going to be a piece for Walton. Like we talk about this Walton 28 group as we talk about like these powerhouse teams. They just have these pipelines of just 28s and 29s that just continue to just pop up through the system and can be immediate impact guys once they become sophomores and juniors. And I think Mayer's one of those types that's going to be a chance to really make an impact now in the middle infield for that team who just lost a ton of pieces from that senior group last year who won a state championship. So that was good to see that. And he continues to get more physical, continues to perform. So good to see him in that setting and excited to see him this spring.
Yeah, he can do it all, that's for sure. Just going down through this list, probably one of the more impressive rounds of this group was Joseph Nystrom, Jax Nystrom for Denmark. He's another one we've seen since he was 13, and the feel for the barrel, the left-handed swing, it's always been there. But the dude is starting to hammer baseballs. He was triple-digit EVs. I'd imagine that he was average in the low to mid 90s. Let's look.
He was the most vocal I was all day on a round. Like it just
Yeah,
continues to get more.
93.7 average for him, 101.7 peak. And he's just going to hit. Like, I don't know how much bigger he's going to get, but you can't not have a kid like that can hit the way he can hit. And the physicality is starting to come into play.
It's not a
So,
frail frame by any means.
yeah, no, and I think
He's got muscle on him.
he's finally healthy too. He battled some injuries last year. I think he knew he had to kind of put on some good weight, get stronger, and I think he definitely did that. And we talk about kind of pick to clicks for the spring. I think he could have one of the bigger sophomore years in this class for Denmark when they definitely need it, because this is definitely the year they got the right seniors in there, and if he steps up, it's kind of going to be game over with that lineup.
Yeah, I mean, the health, like you just mentioned, is something I was going to put on as well. Like, you battled some injuries that were tough at a young age, and to bounce back from that and to look as good as he's ever looked is just huge to see. And, like, we talked about that Denmark team, and, like, battling for a spot in the infield is going to be tough. But I think he brings kind of that hard-nosed gamer mindset that you don't see from a ton
He
of
flipped the
kids. It's like,
switch. He
yeah,
flipped the
it's like
switch
he's, like,
in
ready to
game
go.
for
Like, it's his competitiveness is definitely, like, at a high level, which is awesome to see because it's more of a confidence than a cockiness. Then it's really awesome to see that. It's hard to. I mean, I know Avery's not here, but I just want to touch on Jackson Lee. I know a guy who's extremely high on Landmark Christian, really lean, athletic, 5'10" frame, switch hitter, mirror image from both sides. Has a lot of comparisons to a guy we really love here in Evan Brand. He talks about him. That's a huge comparison with him there. Gonna hit, gonna fill a big role in the middle infield for that team this year. They're going to need some young guys to step up, and I think he looked really good in his rounds as well. So he was good to see that. We saw a little bit in the fall with Kane Southeast, I believe. I mean, I could be wrong on that, but he just looked really good this fall. This fall, but then a good showing to open 2026. So kind of expecting a big spring out of him as well.
Yeah, I would agree there. He's one that Avery likes his guys like that. He's definitely going to get out and see him in the spring, but that's one that we might need to get a look on just for some different eyes, and we really like it as well. Another guy for me, Kingston Jones, had a really good round, which we know he's kind of performed year after year for 6'4", but I thought his round was really good. He's matured a lot just from a physicality perspective. We could see him kind of anywhere for that Pope lineup, I think. He has a chance to win a spot in the infield as well, but he's so athletic. He'll hit, so they'll find a spot for him regardless where it's going to be at. I thought he looked really good. Dylan Schmidt was also a guy that I saw a lot of at 14U for Smart Tents and really liked it. And he's up at Rabin Gap now, and he's like 6'1". I don't know what his official weight was, but just because this is prior stuff, but big kid, can really pitch as well. I was up there for his bullpen, low to mid 80s. So he's a guy up at Raven Gap. We're gonna get to see them during the Battle for Bartow tournament. So look for him to kind of be an under the radar name that really has a chance in this class as well.
And then this is when the group really kind of just took a different level here. We had guys like Trip Sapp, who looked extremely good in his round. Matthew Zander, who had an extremely good fall as a two-way, came out and had probably his best BP round that we've ever seen him from. I think he had one ball under 90 throughout the round. I was running TrackMan all day. It was kind of hard to remember everybody, but his round was kind of easy to remember. It was line drives consistently, used the whole field. He kind of just has no wasted movement in his swing, just kind of gets the barrel through the zone. He's efficient. It's short to it. Just kind of knows how to have an approach in the zone. I mentioned knowing how to hit a hitting machine. He's ready to hit always, whether it's in game or BP. So kind of excited to see that progression. I got Calhoun early on the schedule this year. Excited to get out there. It's kind of close to home for me. So haven't been out there a ton. So excited to get out there and see that team. He's got a ton of young guys on that team. But Xander's one that we really like, and I'm excited to see the progression from that.
You just doubled up 2 into 1. You went Matthew Xander and Trip Sapp. Both had awesome.
I mentioned Sapp first, and then I just kind of rolled into Xander. But like, I could have talked about that whole group.
Both rounds were amazing. I'm like, man, he's thinking about Sapp's round and Xander's round, and he just went Sapp straight to Xander.
Just kind of flipped a switch at that point. The whole round in that infield group was impressive.
Yeah.
Everybody
No, they were both unreal. Xander,
they were great.
Xander's is similar to one of those like really good blast metrics, hammered baseballs. But yeah, you're right. Calhoun for sure, and then talk about like Caden Howell and Trip Sapp on the left side of the infield for Loganville. That's gonna be a really fun one to get out to see. I just had someone I was gonna Thomas Davis. We hadn't got to see a bunch of. Got hurt over the summer. It's gotten strong. I've been seeing some videos. I was messing with Landry, who was in the group later in the day, but have been hitting North Hall a lot, and they're like doing walk-offs, on the last pitch, ball out of the park on left field. But he looked really good, super physical now. So we're gonna get to see North Hall a lot, and he's gonna need to have a big year for those guys to kind of step back and get back to the playoffs, which they were there. They just didn't have Branson and Sexton really for the whole year. So I was really excited to see him just getting hurt over the summer, and he's definitely battled back and ready to go for 26.
This group, man. I'm just looking at some of the names that I can just talk about. This whole group was good. David Vargas was really good. The Barrels continues to get more physical there as he just becomes more of a complete player on both sides. It's looking like a hit power upside at the plate, and then we know we can defend. He's going to stick it short long term. Thomas Gentry added over 15 pounds of good weight on that frame. Becoming a legit switch hitter. Was 97 from the right side, 96 from the left side. Hopped up, had PRs on the mound as well. Just looked as
didn't even feel good. He said either. He was like,
that's what I'm saying. He's in the middle of basketball. I mean, he's playing basketball right now too, right or no?
Yeah, coming off a sprained ankle.
In the middle of basketball season as well, and coming out and popping PRs on the mound and looking as good as he gets. Like he was fired up. Obviously, I know the left-handed swing is a work in progress for him. So like any kind of progression that he's makes with that. And to me, it looks good. Obviously, he's a more natural righty. The path and everything is going to be better from the right side currently right now. But there's going to be tools from the left side. He continues to work. He was probably one of the kids we know works as hard as you're going to find in that class. So it's good to see the progression from him. Obviously, we're going to see more of that team. And him and Blake Bryan on that Citizens Christian team makes the journey down there worth it. Probably anytime. We both got burned on our trips last year, so we're due for a redemption this year. Going to see them. Obviously, I had a great one seeing them win a state championship, which was cool. But obviously we want to go see that team a ton. Obviously, I've been looking at schedules. Just got their schedule recently this week as well. So just filling in blanks on the February and March schedule early. And when you see these guys in January putting on these huge numbers, it's early to pencil them in early in the season. I don't know how many guys I asked this weekend, like, what game do I need to be at? Like, where do we need to be? Because we want to be everywhere. And it's just like, after not seeing these kids for a lot, the connections you've built over the last couple of years, and you're just excited to see them. They're excited to see you. Like, you just want to find out, like, or we just want to be there, and how many more games can you see? But
yeah, and it was fun. I'm talking to Gentry. He was talking about the scouts being at the games for Blake, watching basketball, which is awesome to hear. You don't think about that stuff sometimes, but when a guy's putting X amount of dollars on you when he's going to draft you, like they're going to know everything about you. And he's like, dude, I look up there and there's like a handful of MLB scouts there every single game watching us. He's like, can you imagine how many scouts are going to be here for actual baseball? And it's not like Citizens Christian is, a big 6A school. Like, I would imagine there's less than probably 300 kids in that school. If I had to guess, maybe more 500. I don't know. Whenever I was down there, there was like, I think it's, kindergarten through high school, I think is kind of what it seemed. But yeah, that's going to be fun to see. And it's going to be good for Gentry. He's the type of kid that will kind of thrive off that, even though he's many years away from or a couple years away from draft stuff. But it just gives you that much more motivation that you want to be good next to a guy that could kind of shock shock the state and be one of our first names off the board,
Yeah.
potentially. So
Yeah, I think that's
sidebar there,
a
but
fair statement
fun
there for
stuff.
sure.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned him a little bit earlier, but we were missed to talk about Gavin Gebhardt, man. We couldn't be higher on him with our staff here, and it's easy to see why he just continues to grow. Every time you see him, we talked about the 155 in the 10-yard split, a three, or was it 363 or 362?
yeah,
Third.
3-6 because I was just on it. 3-6-2. Yeah, 155
Yep.
split.
Best in the event in both of those, I believe. The swing at the plate continues to get better. He's finding the barrel often. I threw a really lofty comp out to Shooter this week with him. Just a guy that I'm that bullish on. Like, and it's a two-way profile. He came out on the mound, didn't throw a ball under 89. I think he was up to 91-1 or 92-1, something like that. There's 20 inches of ride on it. He's throwing strikes. It's 4 pitches. Competes. It's whippy arm speed. He's going to defend as well. He's going to stick at shortstop. A guy from Cambridge that, like, you don't think about Cambridge as a hotbed, or they really even talk about Gavin Gebhardt as like one of those premier players in this 28 class. But like, I mean, I think it's there, man. It's a 5-tool player for me right now, and it just continues to get better. The frame's getting more physical. I think he's up to 5'11", 170 pounds now. So it's growing. He's got more projection to go there, and it's just awesome to see that growth and to buy in on guys early, and you really just kind of like get that paid off at an early upside where you can just tell that the progression's coming at a rapid rate.
Yeah, and I was trying to look. I tried to hop over to All American Game real quick because his RSI number is, I think, kind of off the charts. We talk about the RSI. You guys come up there like, oh, what's this 5 jump test? And it's like it's measuring essentially how explosive you are. And funny enough, the two highest velo guys there, being Gentry and Gebhardt, had two of the higher scores in that. So it's just fun to we don't get to look into that type of data that much,
Yeah, like
very often.
29-9 vert too.
Yeah, and that's what I looked at
Yeah.
that too. Like Dylan Seward, for instance, who could potentially be one of the top guys off the board next year. Like he's a 32.4. You can see Blake Bryan on here, 28.8. But like Dylan Seward, for instance, ran a 155 as well, 10-yard split at
Yeah, and that's a
All
6'2"
American
guy,
Game.
a legit 6'2" guy.
Yeah,
Like that's ridiculous. Like
I was hoping we had
If
RSI on
Gavin's
there.
running a 6'4" with a sub 90 or a mid 90s arm across the infield and on the bump, like it's just
And Gavin's got like Seward beat a little bit on height as well. He's got 3 or 4 inches on him.
yeah, and he's still growing. Like I feel like he's getting more physical every time we see him. Like it's
Yeah.
just 28 class, man. It's just so easy to bet on these guys. It's just athleticism and tools everywhere, and they just continue to show it in so many different settings that it's hard not to buy in.
Yeah, no doubt there. All right. Well, that was group one of the infield. We had three infielder groups. We had three infielder groups that day. Jumping into some 29s, we can always hop back to some 28s if we did miss somebody, which I'm sure we did. There was pretty much from top to bottom. We could talk about all these guys, but of that 29 group, first guy for me probably Chase Mickelson, junior future gamer that we got to see a good bit of in March when we did the little Georgia Select weekend, and pretty athletic. I think he plays basketball as well. Moves around really well at shortstop, but put on, I think I might have quote tweeted like 8 to 10 pounds, I think, since we last saw him at junior future games. And honestly, that was the case for a lot of these junior future gamers. They all showed up, up from junior future games, which is really good to see. And these kids are just so motivated, from the 28 class especially, but even these 29s, like we saw so many of them over the summer, and they've made so many big strides in a short 3-4 months time. It's been good to see. But yeah, Chase had a really good round. I think he was averaging in the 80, I think low 90s maybe. I think I got to go to the next page to see him, but had a really good round, stayed through the middle of the field, and it kind of goes to show max EV of 93.8. He was in the 80s for the average, but this indoor setting is kind of fun to a sense because it really shows you when balls are peppered through the middle of the field because they kind of hit that pitch like when it transitions from the back wall to the top, and you can kind of see the ball flight, like just like Pierce Henry had some really good ones on Sunday like that, but just seeing the flight indoors like that, it's kind of a different perspective, and it's kind of really fun to see, especially when guys are staying through the middle of the field.
Yeah, Pierce was absolutely destroying baseballs throughout that round. I think he just touched on that. Like I think he,
Yeah, almost 400 feet,
yeah,
right?
max distance for the I think 395 was the best in the
Yeah.
weekend. Um, yeah, but sticking with that 29 group, a guy that I haven't seen a ton of. He's gonna has a chance to find a role on a quality athletic young team in Maynard Jackson, but that's Felix Joyner, man. It's a really balanced load at the plate, just kind of simple, stays with it, line drives, doesn't try to do too much, gets the barrel out in front, finds it often. Had a max EV at I think 92.9, 5'10", 145 pounds. Going to get more physical as he develops. Can play infield and outfield. Can really just fill spots for that team that's going to have some spots these next couple of years that they're going to need to have filled, and I think he has a chance to do that. Really good look for me. A guy that I mean, kind of stood out as not the loudest round, but you just knew he was going to find barrels. He's going to hit.
Shows up in game too.
Yeah,
I messed with him. I was like, dude, because I'm sure Coach Stiegel's probably actually listening. He's a good supporter of the show with Maynard Jackson. But I was messing with him when we put out the 29 stuff. I was like, dude, we're not sleeping on you. I promise. We just haven't seen enough of you. Like that's why we got you coming. That's why we got you here right now. And we'll be out to see you in the spring. I think we're going to go to a practice with those guys when they get their fresh turf down. But actions are fun in the infield too. I'm sure you were about to talk about that, but he's one of those guys you can tell, kind of like a Joseph or Jack. I keep saying Joseph, sorry, Jax, but I keep like a Jax Nystrom type. Yeah, that shows up in game. That's kind of like a quiet but crazy competitor type. I think I could definitely see that in Joyner, and it's another piece for Maynard Jackson that's going to kind of put them back into that kind of really strong run that they're on. So it's going to be good to get out to see them this spring. I think he'll probably, I don't know, mix in it. What we talk about. I completely forgot about Maceo when we were talking about it, and you're like, oh, what about Maceo? So I don't know. They'll find a spot for him somewhere.
Yeah, it's just there's so much talent in guys now, man. It's hard to remember everybody, but yeah, we talked about Breck earlier, but Jude Hemphill again as well was really good.
Yeah,
took a really
gonna be a
good
fun
infield
player.
around. I think had a max EV at 98.5 as well. Found some barrels often. Wiry little 5'9", 145-pound frame. Gonna have to compete early to find a role in that Harrison squad. Could be a JV guy and just had a really blowout year this year as a freshman. Be with the very deep upper class team they have there. But I think I like the tools there. He's gonna stick in the middle infield. Gonna hit. Really good barrel awareness for a young age as well. Sticking with that 29 group, it was again that group just kind of filled.
Yeah, Kellen Hoffman. Kellen Hoffman had a really good round. I think he was pumped. He hit a good number on the mound as well. I think he was pretty pumped on just coming from JFG's. And funny enough about Kellen, couldn't get him. He was late to the game with Georgia for JFG's. Goes on Arizona and pretty much destroys us single-handedly. And so he's going to be one. I think for North Paulding, I don't know where you get him in there, but the dude can hit. So I'd imagine that he could sneak in there here and there somewhere. I don't know exactly where. I think he's pretty versatile on the infield. I think he could go catch some balls in the outfield if you needed him to. But he had a really
chance he can play in with that. There's potential opening at second base there for that team, I believe.
He would be fine
there on that team going into the spring. Unfortunately, so I think Kellen's kind of that guy that you can look at to be one of those freshman pieces that can.
Yeah, he was max EV 94.7 with average of 87.9. And looking at these like averages numbers, it's kind of insane with this underclass group. Some of these averages, like I couldn't even get to the second page, and I like there's probably over 20 kids that average in the 90s for EVs, which is just insane. Kalen Frederick, I think you mentioned. Did you mention his average exit velo? Because that was silly, 96.8. I know you said
no.
I know you said his max.
I just mentioned the max, but I knew that I couldn't. I went back and looked at
96.8, over 3 miles an hour quicker than anybody. Jaden Moss was right behind him at 93.9. But yeah, max distance of 398 for Kalen, and so yeah, the averages there is always fun to look at. Xander was up there with a 92. We talked about Breck. He was 93.2. Nystrom was 93.7. Radix, we didn't really touch on that, but he was 93.8, or he might have touched on it.
Yeah, I mentioned
Um,
that as well. Another guy
Brooks
I was
was
just about to mention as well. Shout out to Avery. This is his guy. Kind of showed out for us every time we saw him. 92.6 on his average EV on the round, but that's Jacob
big
Doctor,
doctor.
man.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, just barrel city, dude. Just gets in the box and just
And it's
he's gonna
better in
barrel
game.
everything. Oh no, I know. That's what I'm saying.
The
Like we just
swing,
every time
yeah.
we've seen it, it's just bang. Like that ATL Lightning team has just a lineup full of absolute hitters, and he just shows up every time. Like I said, 92.6, max EV 97, went 364 for max distance as well, and he's gonna hit always.
I
Continues to
think
be
he was
so
PRs across the board too, so I think he was
yeah, and
pretty
he was
fired
fired
up.
up about it too. Like that was the coolest thing. Like we had so many. I know it's your big thing in every pregame meeting we talk about with these guys. Like we're not trying to see guys crow hop and throw their arms out, but like we had so many guys just naturally hit numbers this weekend and were fired up about it, and it was just really awesome to see that. And he was definitely one of them. Like we had kids just like walking out of this event like just super fired up for early January hitting like PRs, whether
Yeah.
it's from the outfield or in BP, like that's just gonna fire you up. And like if you didn't hit that number, like it's easier to just tell yourself it is January.
And it's
Like you
yeah, it's a
have time.
baseline. It's a baseline to
Exactly,
build on.
exactly, and kids understood that as well. So it's awesome to see that on both sides. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah. And another thing we talk about with that too is like they're trying to win a spot here in a week and a half. So it's almost like, well, what if I have two things to be ready for? What if I have All State to be ready for, and then what if I have varsity tryouts to be ready for? And if that's the case, these guys touching numbers like this headed into tryouts this coming Monday. The confidence is going to be through the roof.
Yeah, that's the biggest
So we tell them, like you said, we tell them in January, like we understand it's January 10th. Yes, we're indoors, but we know everybody isn't in midsummer shape. But obviously, guys have been putting in the work in the off season, and it's definitely showed, and it's fun for us to see. Yeah, jumping in, second infield group of the day, back to the 28th, or third infield group, I should say. Just going through here, we talked about it. We loved, incorporating the high school stuff, but Ryan Reynolds had a really good round. He was a guy that got brought up for Cherokee Bluff last season, late in the playoffs, and going to be fighting for a spot this year, depending on a couple things that happen. But he's another just kind of gamer type that hits line drives. That's going to hit good pitching. He's going to hit velo. He can hammer a pitching machine. Typically guys that you see hitting line drives on a pitching machine consistently are going to be guys that can handle velo, even though we don't have the machine juiced up or anything. But for whatever reason, I always feel like that translates somehow, some way. So he had a good day for sure. We've got to see him over the years, and excited to see him hopefully get in the mix for Cherokee Bluff this year. Oh, there's my other sheet. I was wondering where my other Group 3 guys went that had Sapp and Xander and Gebhardt on it. Hudson Stanley, jumping back to that last group, was really good. Kale LaQuasto, we've got to see him a ton this fall, but he was really good in this setting. Zach Coons, failed to mention him, but he came in the first group and just kind of looked steady Eddie like he always is. We'll see if he can. We're solo now. I wondered why Ian wasn't talking. I was like, oh, he might just be looking at something. But solo here. We'll see if he can jump back in. We got like a commercial break we could go to. No, I'm just kidding. We'll give him a few seconds to see if he can jump back in here. I'm not sure how long I can sit here and talk to myself on screen like this. But, yeah. We'll see if he can make it. Avery, you still listening? Can you get back on with your phone and help us out until we get him back? Oh, I don't see how broadcast guys can do this. Just sit here and talk by yourself. Very tough thing to do. How many people we got in here? Just sitting here watching me talk. Tucker, you still listening? Tucker, you want to jump back in and talk about some media day stuff? Just kidding. I guess I could talk about a few guys while we wait. Very, very weird. Tucker, Hudson's worst nightmare. We're rolling by ourselves. Um, who we got? Who we got? We'll talk about some catchers maybe here in a sec. Miles Tate was really good. We hadn't got to see really Miles Tate, and maybe we got Ian back here.
Maybe.
Yeah, I wonder
Maybe.
why you weren't. I wonder why you weren't talking, and then I looked up and it was just myself. I was like calling for Avery and Tucker to jump back in
Is
and,
my
and help
camera
me out.
working? It's not showing on my end.
It is not. You are black.
Sweet, sweet. We'll get there. We'll get there. Wow, this is out of control.
I know. It used to be I was always the one struggling with connection and camera quality, and now it's.
Same camera blocked. So give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
This is a good and bad thing about going live. Going live's fun because you like get it done and you don't have to worry about like cutting it, but then you also run into difficulties like these. So almost going for an hour here though. I mean, we're pretty much gonna wrap this thing up. Might give him a couple minutes to see if he can figure it out. But yeah, touching on some of those other infielders, like we had Ty Page in that group 5, looked really good. It'll be anxious to see where he kind of steps in for Blessed Trinity, whether it be behind the dish. I think he's going to be over at third. And we're still black.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not letting me turn my camera on. I don't quite understand why. So.
No, we're good. That's what I mean, we've been rolling for 50 minutes. We pretty much got through most of the group. We were talking about going live again on Wednesday. I don't know if you guys want that, don't want that. We're better off just record and throw it on YouTube. We want to have a kind of a full episode on each underclass and upper class. So maybe we could pick back up on the underclass guys.
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Absolutely. I won't have so much technical difficulties here. I've been rolling. Like I've been good.
Yeah, no, we're good. We're good. Well, I guess that'll conclude season 2, episode 2. So thank you guys for tuning in, guys. We had on here live. It'll be up on YouTube as well. If you jumped on late, we talked about, kind of just went through the underclass groups, touched on some guys we hadn't seen in a while, some guys we have seen, who had a good day, and so on and so forth. So yeah, we'll plan to maybe try to jump back on Thursday. Friday we'll be out at Cherokee County Media Day. So that's another thing we could have talked on is like your counties want us to come out and do a little media day. We've got some cool ideas with Gwinnett that we have in the works with some videos and put out an article. So, that might be a thing we try to do in the future in more places. But thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, everything's on YouTube. Be sure you subscribe on there. We're definitely going to try to post some more short form stuff on there too this spring. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
And one more thing here before we leave here, a big shout out to our social media team for the weekend. Just seeing here over 250,000 views across the platforms this weekend, which is pretty awesome to see. So shout out to PT3 and the boys for that as well. So yeah,
In event. We 250,000 views in event, and that wasn't even.
In event. Yeah, and that doesn't count for the 100 and 300 tweets that
Yeah, we're
out in the
chopping.
last 48 hours.
We got those guys in there editing in event during our 5-10 minutes of downtime. So shout out to those guys. I know you guys love seeing that content. Kind of elevating that this year. We're definitely putting the effort to kind of take the next step with that, whether it be equipment, personnel, all that good stuff. So let us know what you want to see there. Spotlights, full mashup type videos. We're open and ready to have a good spring from that sort of thing. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.